You know what I've noticed? I get to work with some of the most brilliant people, like real experts who know what they're talking about. People who have built and sold businesses, led large teams and departments, even changed industries. And yet, when we talk about them establishing themselves as the industry authority and stepping into their next chapter, they usually say, "Ooh, I'm not quite sure about that. I'm not a thought leader." That's exactly the problem because people with real expertise and real experience, when they stay quiet, guess what? The people with the hot takes, they still fill the feed. In the end, we are all consuming content, and those who show up regularly and share what they know, or at least what they think they know, they are the ones who are getting the attention and also often the credit, even if what they are saying isn't actually true. And honestly, we cannot keep rolling our eyes at the noise if we are not showing up in the same conversation. So I want to flip the script. Instead of chasing the title of thought leader, think of yourself as a thought contributor because it's not about becoming an influencer. And let's be honest, the era of influencers is certainly dying down in 2026 and beyond. But let's not go into that. What it's about you contributing with what you actually know, but also what you learn on the go so others can make better decisions and also learn from your learning journey. Thought contributors don't break. They're not chasing likes or attention for the sake of it. They just share what they are learning as they go. Because especially nowadays with AI, everyone looks polished, everyone looks perfect, everyone looks like they have got it together. However, in a world that's constantly changing, no one really does. We are all learning on the go. And the people who admit that, who pull back the curtain and share the progress and take people on the journey as they learn, they are the ones who earn really credibility and also trust. And this is exactly what this episode is all about. It's part of my 3O credibility framework, a model that I developed through my trusted authority research and years of client work. What the 3O stands for? It's own, others, on the go. Because being credible these days, it's less about claiming you are the go to, it's about proving you are still going. We just have to give ourselves the permission that we've got enough to say to contribute to a conversation that everyone is interested in learning more about. Let's start by getting one thing straight. Expertise still matters. You've earned it, the degrees, the frameworks, the wins, the lessons learned the hard way. That's your foundation. But the marketplace has changed. These days, people don't just want to see the polished outcome anymore. They want to understand how you got here. And you know why this works? It's because people love, love the process. It's the same why we are hooked on reality TV or vlogs. We love watching things unfold in real time. The mess, the breakups, the story behind the story. It's not the perfect ending that keeps us watching. It's seeing the journey happening right in front of us. Now, when you share what you are learning as you go, it's exactly the same thing, just in a professional setting. People don't just see your expertise, they feel connected to it. They get to be part of your journey. And this is exactly what builds real trust. So rather than saying, I've been doing this for 15 years, boring, you want to say, here is my three-part model I developed from those 15 years. And here is how it helps you today. This is how you can own your expertise. It makes it tangible, it makes it teachable, and also transferable. But here's the evolution. Once you have built a foundation, people don't just want your expertise, they want to see your process. The way how people connect with each other and with that also trust each other has changed. Back in the day, when there wasn't as much content, we looked for the polished and the perfect content, the one that sounded that they had it all together, and it left no room for that. But that's not how it works anymore. People do not trust polish. They want progress. They don't want to be sold to. They want to be part of something that's unfolding. They want to see the journey, not just the highlight reel when everything is already perfectly finished. They don't want to see the hero on the pedestal. They want to see the guide who says, here's what I know, here's what I'm testing, and here's what I'm learning on the go. That's the new credibility. It's not about looking finished, it's about being in motion and documenting the journey as you go. Because the world is changing way too fast that we can claim that we have it all together. A new AI tool comes out every time you blink. A new platform is launched pretty much every day. New algorithms are getting rolled out every other minute. So we can't say we've got it all together and we know it all because we don't. Nobody has got it. And yet, this is what people want to be seen as, that they have all the magic answers and they're king to the castle. However, that doesn't resonate with people anymore. And this is our opportunity. Whether you are brand new to a skill or to an industry, or you've been in there for quite some time, you can tap into the 3O credibility framework. So let's break it down. Firstly, we start with your own. This is the foundations. This is everything that you physically or mentally own and what you can control. It's your signature framework, meaning your systemized and packaged IP. It's your own platforms. It's your podcast, your newsletter, your community, your credential, your lived experience, everything that makes you you. This ownership gives you control and also consistency. If social media disappears tomorrow, your own content would still stand because you have created that. You have tapped into different platforms to build it. You have contributed to other people's platforms where it still lives beyond the social media algorithm. Now, the ideas, the frameworks, and the assets you have built, these are the things that keep working for you even when you are not in the room. And this is why I'm such a bully of you creating your own assets, because that value compounds over time. And that's the power of owning your IP and your message. Because when you take what you know and turn it into something more tangible, like a model or a story or a resource, it starts doing the heavy lifting for you. Because people can only remember what they see. And when you build assets that make your expertise visible, you become a lot more trustworthy because all of a sudden others can understand it, they can follow it, they can also repeat it. And this is exactly what thought leadership in the end is all about. How can you translate what you know into something that other people who don't necessarily have the background or the expertise can still use by understanding what actually goes in there? Let's talk about the second O, and that is others, meaning how can you tap into credibility by association? In the end, no one builds trust alone. And the people around you, your peers, your mentors, your collaborators, your community, your clients, they shape how others see you, because the people, the associations, the brands around you may be your peers, your mentors, clients you work with, your community, even the brands that you wear, they shape how others see and perceive you. Now, when you tap into other people's credibility and connect with those who are already trusted in the field, their trust becomes borrowed belief for others. So if you're brand new to an industry or to an area of expertise, rather than saying, I've got no chance to ever establish myself as a name or as the go-to in this field, think again, because you can fast track your reputation, your credibility by being associated with others. And this is the so-called halo effect. So we are simply associating what we already know about a brand, an industry, authority, or an industry body with you, simply because you hang out with each other. And that's the beauty, because when people see you surrounded by voices they already respect, they think if they trust you and if they respect you, I probably should do the same. And this is how you can build your credibility a lot faster, simply by tapping into other people's credibility that have already done the heavy lifting, and you tap into that. However, it is not necessarily sustainable, because this is where your own credibility then needs to follow, that you've got a framework, that you've got a system, that you've got something that you actually own, that you can then leverage once you've got the foot in the door and be exposed to this new opportunity or this new community. And last but not least, very important, it's what I honestly think is going to be the way in 2026 for you to fast track credibility building, and that is on the go, meaning you are building credibility in motion. It's 100% an underrated one, because people don't talk about it, because nobody feels comfortable to share the messy middle, that they don't necessarily have it all figured out yet. But I truly believe it is the future, because on the go means that you are documenting the process, sharing what you are learning as you learn it, not 3 years later and saying, now if I would have to do it all over again, I would do X, Y, and Z, because it is not the same. Because people don't want to hear that anymore. Every single person says, after running paid ads for 8 years and managing XYZ millions, this is what I've learned. That's old news. You know, paid media landscape has changed in the last 6 months. I don't care what you did 6 years ago. I want to know, what are you testing right now? And also what you have learned right now, that we can tap into that particular knowledge. And this is, in the end, if you think about it, also what leadership is all about, meaning you go first so others can follow safely. And research also backs that up. Now, content from firstly real people is perceived 2.4% more authentic than branded content. And this is what I've been saying for many, many years, that company branded content and or company content on LinkedIn or social media goes nowhere, which is also why UGC, user-generated content, is a lot more effective, because we've already built a relationship and trust with this particular person, and now we can see how this person uses the product, or what they are doing differently when they've tapped into the service or whatever they may do. 71% of audiences also say that they trust creators who show how they got the results over those who show that they did it. When I say I built 2 7-figure businesses, boring. Again, when I say I've built 2 7-figure businesses and here's how I've done it, this is a completely different ballpark. So documenting your process is not about oversharing, it's strategic transparency because it's how you prove that you are credible and most importantly, current. In the content world, I always say recency trumps relevancy, meaning anything that happens right now or is connected with an event that's in my head, it's a lot more relevant than just relevant content by itself. Meaning if I say how to change your jobs, always relevant. How you change your jobs in your 50s after a layoff, if somebody's going through that, of course, it's more relevant because there's a recent event connected to that. See how it works? Okay. And this is also why I truly believe that on the go is the one thing to focus on in 2026 because we are living in an era of algorithm. AI can replicate the tone, the language, the visuals, but it cannot replicate context. What cuts through now is human context in motion, your stories, your reflections, your experiment. When you share what you're testing, people get curious. When you share what didn't work, people trust you. When you share what surprised you, people will remember you. That's emotion. Psychology research calls this processing fluency, meaning we trust what feels familiar and easy to process. When you share the messy middle, your audience brain says, that's real. This is the person I trust. And that realness creates connection, conversation, and of course, community. Now, if you've been following me on LinkedIn or on Instagram, maybe even on both, firstly, thank you, high five to you. But you would have seen that I've committed to a 10 unassisted pull-ups in 12 months challenge that I set myself out of the blue at the end of 2024 after trying to do a pull-up for at least 8 years and I couldn't move anywhere. Like I was literally just hanging like a dead man and not going anywhere. And then all of a sudden, on the 18th of December 2024, I could do my first pull-up. Christmas miracle. Anyway, I was so pumped that I could finally do a pull-up that I said, you know what? I want to do 10 pull-ups in the next 12 months. And this is what I started to document. Every month I record myself with an update where we are at. And I've also shared when I actually went backwards. I was already at, I think, 6 or 7 pull-ups. And then in August, I filmed myself and all of a sudden I couldn't do more than 4.5. I was like, not good. People want to see progress. But at the same time, people want to see the realness, whether I've actually made progress or not. So my learning from this particular experiment, which kind of happened by accident, to be honest, because I didn't even think people would actually be interested in that because I'm not a professional athlete. It doesn't look pretty at all. Let's just put it that way. People have literally pulled me up at events to say, most importantly, how many pull-ups are we up to? So we created a we language. People who have not spoken to in like 10 plus years have messaged me on LinkedIn to say, how's the pull-up challenge going? And I thought, you know what? There is something to it. People do want to be part of somebody else's journey. When we share what we are working towards, what our mission is, what we want to achieve, people are happy to support you along the way in one or another way. And this is what I want to take to the next level in 2026. I want to commit to 12 experiments in 12 months. Each month, I want to commit to one real-time project and then sharing what I'm testing, what I've learned, what worked, and probably what didn't work, which is very likely that a lot of those experiments won't work. But that's the point. People don't want to see the perfection of it. They want to see that you have tried, what you've done, what worked, what didn't work, and how you would do it differently next year. Because when you show the progress, you also build what AI cannot fake, and that is trust through transparency. Now, if you are running either a small business or you're leading a team, this is also your edge. You don't need to have a head of failure like Steve Bartlett had. And that was actually the inspiration for me to commit to those sort of experiments because I thought, how can I get data a lot quicker? And you can only do it by doing more of what you actually want to work towards. So, for example, one of the experiments that I commit to and I've already started working on is to speak in front of or with or for depending on how you want to see it, 12 different industries. And I have already confirmed and locked in 5 of them. So I still have 7 to go, but hang on, it's not even 2026, so I still have some time. However, I want to put it out in the universe to say anyone who's looking for a keynote speaker for the conference or want a leadership retreat or a strategy day facilitated by somebody, hopefully they're going to think of me because it is also part of my mission. And this is exactly what I truly believe is leadership in 2026, not pretending it's perfect, that we've already everything confirmed and locked in and we know it all. But it's about going first, not being afraid of sharing it, not being afraid of sharing that something didn't work. And as I said, I've put it out there that I want to speak in front of 4, 12 industries. Am I going to achieve it? I don't know. Maybe I do. It's the same with the 10 pull-ups. I was honestly on struggling straight big times in October and November. And I thought, cutting it fine here. Anyway, we are pretty much at the 10. I don't want to jinx it because I have done 9 so far. I have not done 10, but I still have at least 4 weeks to go. So it's all gonna work out. And if not, that's a lesson by itself. Credibility these days isn't built on being finished and being perfect. It's about being built on what you have learned along the way, because your experience gives you the right to speak. You have had hands-on experience and you share what you have learned. You're not saying this is the one and only rule and that's the new law. You're just sharing what you've learned and people want to listen to that. And this is also the content trends, that instead of saying how to create content, you would say how I create content, because it is a lot more personal and unique. So here's your challenge for the week. You want to tap into all 3 O's in the credibility framework, meaning firstly, your own credibility. How can you turn a piece of your experience into a mini framework or a visual that you can use in meetings or in interviews or in pitches? Second, others. How can you tap into other people's credibility? It could be through a collaboration, through a LinkedIn Live together, or simply by tagging them and share how their work has influenced your work. And lastly, on the go. This is a challenging one, but honestly, it will pay off big times. Share what you are learning right now and also what you're testing and what that means for others. Because this is exactly how you build credibility and expertise in motion. The kind of credibility that compounds over time and people associate with that particular commitment that you are going first, that you are an innovator, because that shows that you're able to take calculated risks, but you're also humble enough to share what worked and what didn't work. Because the leaders who win next year won't be the ones who look that they have done it. They are the ones who look, they are still in motion, they are still current, they still know what they are talking about. So, what are you going to learn out loud this or next week? Take me, share it, and experiment. Let's co create the next era of credibility together.